Field of 68 after dark.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM, alongside the former Marquette legend, Jerel McNeal, and Rob Dauster. I am merely Sam Ravech. Guys, there were 13 ranked teams in action tonight. All 13 teams won, but they also won by an average of 28 points. So Arizona wrapping things up against South Dakota State right now. Not the most competitive night of college hoops before most conferences get underway in their conference plays. But really quick, before we dive into some things, there was some noteworthy news breaking in the world of college hoops over the Christmas break. I wanted to get your takeaways, if there are any, Rob, of any of the 13 games that you wanted to hit on before we actually dive deep into some of that news real quick.
I mean, obviously James Nnaji committing to enrolling in and being cleared by the NCAA to play despite being drafted in, I believe it was the 2023 draft, and playing overseas after getting drafted. It kind of changes the landscape, right? And now you hear the news about Trenton Flowers being recruited by different schools. I promise you, he is not the only guy that has played NBA minutes, that has been through the draft process after leaving college or after leaving the American basketball landscape. I just don't think there's going to be any rules. You know, I will hear a statement from the NCAA here in a little bit. I just feel like this is a situation where the NCAA is saying, we're just going to let anything happen that we want, because if we don't, we're going to get sued. We can't win a lawsuit because maybe we don't necessarily have the best legal grounds to stand on. So unless Congress steps in and fixes this, we're just going to let it all implode, and we're just going to let it all blow up, because eventually all of that's going to happen. It's going to be the same result if we fight back against it. We're just going to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in lawyer fees. So the only person that should be really upset right now with the lawyers are losing out on some of those billable hours. But beyond that, it just feels like we are now fast tracking what is going to eventually be the inevitable end that we get to, which is the NCAA imploding, because I just don't see how else this can go on and end in any other way.
Right. And a lot of athletic directors around the country are saying there's really two ways forward in that. It's either going to be through collective bargaining or it's going to be through Congress. And while the latter doesn't seem like they're really, chomping at the bit to get anything done, it may be the former that we're heading towards. But Jerel, anything from the games that we saw go final tonight that you can take away or have any takeaways about?
No, I mean, for the most part, obviously we've been off a little bit. Coming up close to about 5 or 6 days here with no real meaningful games, but it was good to see some of the top teams get back in action. This is kind of like I call it like slipping week, usually around the holiday time, guys get a chance to go home for maybe a day or two before they got to report back to school or back to campus and get back to practice. So you got to be careful just to make sure you don't get caught slipping this week. So they try to schedule some formidable opponents that they feel more comfortable with, usually a lot of home games and things like that, unless you got conference play kicking off around this time. But Michigan looked good again tonight. I watched a little bit of Illinois. Illinois looked pretty solid as well against Southern. They had an earlier game. I guess something that was a little bit of an eyebrow raiser was that score in that Michigan State game. I think Cornell dropped like 97, but obviously State went for 114. So I don't know, it's a bit of a head scratcher for me.
Yeah,
hey, Jerel,
had another go ahead.
The two most dangerous games in the college basketball calendar are the game right before Christmas and the game right after Christmas.
Yep.
right in between New Year's.
You could, I'm about to say, you could mix in the New Year's and New Year's Eve. Yeah, I was about to say we had like Big East Conference kickoff one year against Nova at home on like New Year's Day at like noon. So yeah, good old days. That meant like a 5 or 6 a.m. shoot around. Ruins the festivities, but duty calls.
Yeah, those can be some sleepy gyms too this time of year with kids and students off for break. So, all right, since the games weren't really the most scintillating, we decided to get a little creative with tonight's show. We're going to do sort of a mid-season draft of teams between the three of us. We'll have some fun with that in just a bit. But before we do get there, Rob touched upon it. For those who were understandably preoccupied over the Christmas holiday. Just kind of let me reset the scene a little bit in the world of college basketball that has really been flipped on its head over the last week. And on the morning of Christmas Eve, the NCAA delivered a landmark decision to Baylor University. They declared 7-foot center James Nnaji available for competition. The twist in the whole story comes from the fact that, as you said, Rob, Nnaji never played college basketball before, and he was, in fact, the 31st overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft to the Charlotte Hornets. Nnaji has now become the first player in men's college basketball history to reverse course and compete in the NCAA following his selection in the NCAA draft. Here is what his head coach, Scott Drew, had to say following the events.
Well, first, Coach Izzo and I are friends. I got a lot of respect for him. Great conversation. As he said, most coaches are 99% aligned on things that we would like to see done with our game. At the same time, from my knowledge, until we get to collective bargaining, I don't think we can come up with rules that are agreeable or enforceable. And until that, I think all of us are got to be ready to adjust and adapt to what's out there. Early on, when it first came out with G League players, I wasn't in favor of that either. But again, we don't make the rules, and as we find out about things, we're always going to adapt to put our program in the best position to be successful, because that's what we get paid to do.
Obviously, that was in response to Scott Drew and kind of a conversation that Tom Izzo had brought up, that he wanted to speak with Scott Drew in regards to everything that's been going on. Scott Drew's been catching a lot of heat, man. The important part of this story, too, is that Nnaji never actually played in an NBA game, which is apparently still a very important distinction in the eyes of the NCAA. We'll get to the statement that the NCAA released to our good friend Jeff Goodman and in just a second. But I'll leave the floor to you, and you kind of touched upon it, but add some thoughts maybe and spin this forward as to what the fallout of this move could be for college basketball moving forward.
Well, let me jump in on this one quick, because I don't think that you can necessarily blame Scott Drew here, right?
Agreed.
When it comes down to it, I do believe that 98% of coaches probably would have made the decision that Scott would have made, with the opportunity to be able to bring in a player of Nnaji's talent. And now, to be clear, I think that there is a reason why the 31st pick in the draft has not played in the NBA, right? Like, this dude isn't going to come in and immediately be Dwight Howard, right? I was texting with a guy that knows European basketball, and they were like, I don't even know if this dude can catch all that well. He hasn't proven that yet playing for Barcelona. So he's going to be 6'11" and athletic, and Scott Drew has been good with players that are 6'11" and athletic. So it's not like this dude's going to come in and immediately start dropping 22 and 14, right? It's not going to be that kind of an impact. But I think the issue lies in the fact that there's no leadership at the top and nobody making these decisions and nobody able to enforce rules and enforce ways to be able to allow players to know what kind of framework you're working with. And the reason I don't think it's happening from the NCAA side is that they understand that whatever rules they put in place, they're going to get taken to court. And because there is an arbitrary setup of, oh, you get 4 years, but then you also maybe get another year and you get an extra year of this and you get an extra year of that, and you can get this for a waiver and you can get that for a waiver. There's all kind of loopholes that allow you to be able to wiggle in if you're a lawyer and kind of say, hey, this is not legal as players are getting paid. And then it'll get overturned once you put it in front of a judge. And it just feels like the NCAA is saying, we're not going to deal with that anymore. You guys wanted this. All right, we're opening it up for everybody because we don't want to get sued anymore. Congress, if you want to fix this, step in and tell us that what we're doing is not actually illegal, because every time we take it to court, we're told that we're not allowed to be able to do this. So I think that's what's happening. But I think the biggest issue and the issue at large here is that everybody in this system and in this current setup is currently acting within their own self-interests, right? Scott Drew is doing this because it is the best way for him to be able to go out and win basketball games as a head coach at Baylor. James Nnaji is doing this because he believes it is the best way for him to be able to, A, make the most money, and B, try to find a way to get back to the NBA and actually get picked up by the Knicks, who I believe own his NBA draft rights, right?
Right.
Nnaji's agent is pushing this because he's going to get his 4% or his 10%, whatever it is, and he's trying to make that NIL money, right? And I think you see this down the line. Players are entering the transfer portal because the best thing for them is to be able to find a way to be able to drive up the bidding wars and make as much money as they can. And everything, and the coaches are dealing with this transfer portal stuff because, one, if they're not good enough, they want to find a way to be able to recycle their roster quicker. Right. And two, if they have players on their team that isn't good enough, then they can just kick them out the door and say, hey, you know what? It's not working, man. Go find someplace else to go. So everybody in this current ecosystem is operating within their own self-interest and with their own best interest. And that's the way that they should be doing it. And the reason it's going like this is because there's nobody at the top making decisions that are saying, this is how it's going to work. This is the rules that you're going to have to work with. This is the framework that it's going to exist in, because at the end of the day, they care more about themselves than they do about the long-term sustainability of college sports and college athletics and college basketball. And I think we're now on a fast track to where this thing, we always hear all the time, and Goodman and I make fun of this and joke about this all the time, that you always hear these naysayers and these doom speakers saying, this is going to end up being the end of college basketball. They're not going to be able to survive this. How can they survive the one and done era? How can they survive high school players being immediately eligible for the NBA draft? How can they survive this? How can they survive that? And it's persisted, right? The NCAA tournament is still here. The Field of 68 is still here. We are thriving.
We may have lost Rob's audio there, but when we do get him back, I do want to follow up because, Jerel, it's not like we're going to pretend that we're in this world of amateurism anymore. And his point is right. Like, these antitrust laws, and I'm not a lawyer, but you take these antitrust cases into court, and very often you lose them because you're, by and large, restricting the ability of a player's right to work. But go ahead, Rob. Go ahead and continue what you were saying there, and I'm going to read the statement that the NCAA released to our good friend Jeff Goodman in a second.
Well, all I was saying is that I just don't know how you get this shit back on the track. I don't know how you fix this and how you get it going in the right direction again. I just feel like at this point we've kind of reached a point where it's rolling towards a certain kind of inevitable ending, and I don't know how you get it back.
Right. And you're not going to put the toothpaste back in the tube, as they say. All right. So our friend Jeff Goodman asked the NCAA whether players with NBA experience were eligible to play in college. And here is exactly what the NCAA released. Jerel, tell me exactly what you can glean from this, because it was maybe one of the more non-statement answers that I've ever read. Schools are recruiting and seeking eligibility for more individuals with more international, semi-pro, and professional experience than ever before. And while the NCAA members have updated many rules following the House injunction, more rules must likely be updated to reflect the choices member schools are making. At the same time, NCAA eligibility rules have been invalidated by judges across the country, wreaking havoc on the system and leading to fewer opportunities for high school students, which is why the association is asking Congress to intervene in these challenges. Go ahead, Jerel. What do you got for that?
Yeah, I mean, like you hit it on the head, Sam. It's a non-answer. Number one, the first thing that I kind of saw out of that statement as well too is they're kind of passing the baton along, almost like they're taking a shot at the universities for applying for some of these waivers or these injunctions and things like that, where guys that have played professionally can come back to school if they haven't played a minute in the NBA or whatever it may be, or even the European route as well. But I mean, they never get really specific. They're pretty much saying, it's killing the high school game and crushing the high school players. So that's why we're asking Congress to intervene. But at the end of the day, we're not asking for this. But at the same time, you're not giving us an answer either about how we can stabilize it and make it fair, or at least have some guardrails for it too. So, it's a bit of a word salad in my opinion. But even just still speaking on that, because obviously, Rob said a mouthful just about all of the stuff as well too. But just a couple key points for me. And starting off, I think we hit on it, but Coach Drew isn't wrong. At the end of the day, he's made a commitment to try to put his university in the best standing. Obviously, they've been decimated by injuries as well too in their front line, so it makes sense for them. I do have an issue with the timing of it now too. I think that's a part that we kind of missing out on, because some of these dudes are going to be eligible to play right away. Like, it's, you know, we're coming back from Christmas break, going into the second semester or whatever it may be. I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing in the world. And on top of that as well too, like, you know, it doesn't take the biggest or the most legislation to make some of this stuff make sense. Like, in my mind, I was just over here thinking of key points of like things where I'll be like, that's a no brainer. Like, in my opinion, if a guy's been drafted, he's made himself draft eligible, and he's got taken, especially, what was it, the 31st pick?
That's right.
I don't think they should be allowed to play college basketball. And that's not nothing with the specific kid or anything like that. I'm just saying that from like, you know, that's a rule that can be implemented. If a guy's been drafted and somebody owns your rights, you shouldn't be able to go back to play college. Or, you know, if a guy has played and went through the process of playing the NBA Summer League, like, at that point, in my mind, you're a pro. Like, that's how it went when I came out of school. Like, you know what I mean? I did 20 pre-draft workouts, went through the draft process and all of that stuff. And then, you know, you commit to a team for Summer League. At that point, you're a pro and you're trying to make an NBA roster. Like,
but the issue that you run into, Jerel,
line in the sand almost.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but legally, the issue that you're going to run into with that, and the reason why the NCAA can't fight back, is what's the difference between those pros and the pros that are legal coming over from Europe? There functionally is none, right? And that's why opening the door for the pros coming from Europe has allowed the door to be open for the G League guys. And eventually, if you go back and look at that statement, they say nothing about having NBA players not being eligible. So I promise you, all those coaches that are sitting there, like, there's guys that spent $10 million on their roster this year that are sitting there with just like a win or two above 500. They're saying, I spent all this money and I gotta win, or I'm gonna lose my job. I'm gonna go recruit some of these NBA guys. I'm gonna go recruit Fowler.
And no, and I completely get that as well too. And just I mean, doubling back to that, man. I had the European thing on my list too, because that's part of the reason why I'm not mad at it, because it's almost like it's less rules for those guys trying to come over. And I'm in the same thing, like basic stuff. Like, if those guys are playing in European competition, if you play Euro League, Euro Cup, Champions League, and you're actually logging minutes, you shouldn't be able to come to college and play. You're a pro's pro. Like, you're getting paid a decent amount of money. If you're playing in the first league and you're a role player on a team that's in the first league and whatever domestic league you're in, it shouldn't, like, you know, you shouldn't be able to just roll back.
And then here's what's going to happen. The way that you stop that is you put a cap on the amount of money, so it doesn't end up being this is the second most valuable pro league you play in. But in order to 100%. Do that, you have to have collective bargaining. One, the schools don't want to do that. Two, why would any of these players decide that we are going to collectively bargain a cap that will be rev share at what, $3.5 million, $4 million per basketball team, when we could just let it be a free for all, and Kentucky will spend $22 million and these other schools will spend 14, and you got a half dozen teams spending like $12 million, and you got 20 teams spending. Why would you collectively? There's no incentive for the players to come to the table, so they're just not going to do it. It's so much more financially viable for them to be able to have this free for all every year. It's not going to. You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. And you know, I think a lot of people, I've gotten so many people hitting me up being like, this is what you wanted this when things got legal. Yeah, because I assumed that there would be some kind of leadership at the top trying to make decisions that were for the best of the sport. And there's been none of that. When was the last time we heard Charlie Baker say anything? Serious question. When was the last time he said anything? The landscape of college athletics, the NCAA is blowing up before our eyes, and Charlie Baker's on a beach with Jeff Goodman not working.
Well, you know, Rob, your assumption that that the leaders at B would come up with sort of guardrails maybe a little bit superfluous at the start, because at the end of the day, money is what runs college sports now, and it has for some time now. You know, I don't know if like media rights dealers have to step in and maybe they're the ones that maybe take ownership. I don't know, but I do know that Matt Painter is a very represented and very respectable voice in the world of college hoops. He also chimed in on the latest news.
Yeah, we just want to know the rules so we can abide by them. Like, we don't know what's going on. So that's what I would say. Like, we need some leadership. We need somebody to step up and, like, here's how it's ran. Here's name, image, and likeness. Here's the transfer situation. Like, whatever. Like, we can go on to all these different examples, and like, give us the rules. We'll abide by them. You know, because that's who the rules are for. The rules aren't for the people who cheat. The rules are for the people that abide by them. And so, like, that's where this all goes down, and there's no communication. Like, we just want to know. Like, tell us what to do. Tell us how to go about it. And then, like, you know, we'll go from there. And there's just a lot of gray area right now.
There's been gray. We've been living in gray area for years now. But go ahead, Rob. Thoughts on what Payne said?
He said we need rules and we need leadership, and he ain't getting that from the NCAA right now. It's just like, it's not. Yeah. Their statement basically said we're not doing that. So it's like the coach. Everyone's sitting here saying, "Please tell us how we're supposed to be able to run this." And the NCAA is like, do whatever you want. We don't care."
Man, look, it's kind of like, you know, it's like teams also have to think about this too. It's like the movie Miracle when Herb Brooks brought in that guy, like they were in mid training camp in that movie, and the team was all a little miffed because it's going to be taking away some playing time from somebody else. That's something else that coaches are going to have to think about when they do end up bringing in these players like James Nnaji. All right, we have a very special guest joining us on the Field of 68 After Dark. Dusty May, head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, going to hop on with us after win. Dusty, really appreciate you joining us here. Man, it's been a blast watching you guys play so far. First and foremost, how was the Christmas break in the May household?
Hey, guys, appreciate having me on. The Christmas break was good. I actually headed south to Miami for a couple of days and got a little bit of relaxation and caught a Heat game and some things. So, but yeah, it goes quickly. Our guys, we came back the evening of Christmas. We just felt like we needed to start a workout and get back in, so we didn't lose our rhythm. And so that sacrifice paid off for us. We played well against McNeese tonight.
Yeah,
Dusty, I want to get to your team.
Not lose your rhythm. You scored 112 points tonight. You won by 40. You now have the Big Ten record for most 40-point wins in a season, 12 games into the season. This is my official apology, Dusty, because I didn't know how you were going to make it work with three big guys together. And you know what? Keep adding them. I think I told you this before. I want to see you play five big guys. I want 5 centers on the court for you at the same time. Where did this idea come from? Like, when did you first think, you know what, Yaxel Lindenborg, Morris Johnson, and Adai Mara, let's play them together. Let's all put them on the floor all at the same time.
Well, to be honest, Rob, like it wasn't the ideal roster construction at first, because we'd only seen how Morez played as a freshman before he got hurt. And we'd seen Adai play at UCLA, obviously. And then we went back and watched his film with Zaragoza with the national team and felt like because he was able to pass the ball and could play on the perimeter that we could make it work. And then Yaxel's timing with the NBA was also going to be another curveball at us. So just I think Adai went first, and then with Morez, you always feel like, you know, you look at Florida, you look at Houston, you look at Gonzaga, you look at a lot of teams that essentially play 2 5s, and you know, there's some different ways to make sure the spacing works. And if they're on the glass, there's a lot of advantages to it, especially second shot offense. So we felt like we could make that work. And then when Yax decided to come back, then it was like, okay, this might be chunky at times or clunky at times. But once Yax started gaining confidence in his 3-point shot, we thought, oh, wow, we're on to something here, because now we can post feed and we can figure out a plan to keep them out of each other's way. And at the end of the day, we play our tempo is so fast that you don't play 36 minutes for us. So, you know, it's a little bit overblown because they probably play 8 to 10 minutes a game together, those 3 guys, and what we joke around and call it the jumbo lineup.
Yeah, Coach, can you talk about
jumbo package? I'm sorry, jumbo package.
The jumbo package. It's the formation.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach, could you just talk a little bit about, just with all these different scenarios and these lineups, and even just having the addition of some of these new guys, the process that you've taken, how you getting these guys to gel so quickly, because it seems like they, you know, all the pieces kind of fit. They seem to enjoy playing with one another. They play really unselfish and things like that as well.
Well, I want to start by giving the team last year credit with providing an identity, sharing the ball, and playing with five guys connected on defense. I don't want to give these new guys much credit. We knew Adai passed it well. We knew Yaxel didn't care about scoring, that he was going to play all over the court because we competed against him. And Merez, we just knew what he brought to the table as far as being a junkyard dog. And then we knew Elliot Cadeau was an elite passer and wanted to share the ball and keep everyone happy. But I think the buy-in of our returners, the four guys, Roddy Gale, Namari Burnett, Will Cheddar, and LJ Kaysen, those guys to buy into coming off the bench to do whatever's necessary to win, but also just the way they've shared the ball and the unwritten rules that a great culture has is something that they've passed down with the way that we want to play. So, it's just like everything else. A lot goes into it. A lot of hands are stirring it and mixing it up the right way. But we have an unselfish group by nature. And as long as we prevent anyone from separating from the group, I think it continues to be contagious.
Coach, you mentioned Elliot Cadeau. I want to talk about his evolution in your system because it seems like he's just found his rhythm. He's more comfortable, obviously shooting the ball a lot better since November. He's been one of the better playmakers, period, in the entire country. What have you seen from him as he matriculates through the Michigan program?
Well, when you watched him play in AAU or Carolina, you could tell he was an incredibly smart player. And sometimes the personnel around guys don't fit as well as some other situations. So obviously Elliot, we scrimmaged him when he was at Carolina, and they beat our butts when I was at FAU. And so we knew how capable he was. But we just felt like he fit these other guys, just someone that wanted to set the table. His shooting has been a real pleasant surprise, even though when we went back and studied his shot diet from Carolina, from his summer circuit, from a link year under Bill Armstrong, we felt like if he took the right shots, he would be an efficient shooter with volume. And he's done that. We've put the right guys around him. They get him open. They set physical screens. And then he's put in a lot of work with the staff on his jump shot. And there hasn't been anything that's been changed mechanically because he had a good balance, he had a good base, and he had a good release. And so when you look at guys at the end of their shot clock shots, or the shots where there's no decision to be made, whether you dribble, pass, or shoot it, you just have to shoot it. He made a good percentage of those, and it looked really, really clean. So we were confident in the right situation he would make shots. He's probably exceeded expectations because of how well he shot it, and his late shot clock threes, his end of half threes have been really, really good, really efficient.
Dusty, the era that we're in now with college basketball, I think we just saw James Nnaji obviously go to Baylor and commit there. There's reports of players on two-way contracts being recruited by different programs. The NCAA released a statement to us today that did not disclude the idea of having NBA players eventually be eligible to play college basketball. Where are you at now on kind of the status of this whole recruiting process and where the world of college basketball is?
Well, I think it's so, I guess, all over the place now that it probably forces the powers that be to get to the table sooner than later to try to find some solution. And when you talk about college athletics, or are we talking about football and men's basketball? Or we talk about all of athletics? So I think, we've got to start getting some people to the table that are versed in law, they're versed in athletics, they're versed in doing what's best for the enterprise. Because I mean, look, there's even when you look at hockey or baseball and these sports that players can go in the draft and then they can go back to school. Well, we were having a staff debate about it today, and the staff was adamant about how awful that would be. And my point was, it would be terrible for us as coaches. But it wouldn't be terrible for a player that thought he was going to be drafted, and then he has an opportunity to go back and be in the college environment and get an education, make some money. But also, I know it would be better for the enterprise of college basketball to turn on the television and see really good players and more of them playing on more good teams. And there's even more parity now than ever. So I do think, there's a lot good that's happening despite these few things that probably are I guess taking the tension away from all that's good. For example, the player at Santa Clara that kind of the scab came off with this player at Santa Clara, and I looked at his stats. I think he's averaging 5.5 a game. I believe the player at Louisville under Pat is redshirting. So we've literally spent 5 to 6 weeks talking about ad nauseum a total of 2.5 points per game. And an irrelevant. So I guess that's probably my biggest gripe. There needs, like we all know there needs to be either collective bargaining or some type of help with Congress. I think, the collective bargaining, I don't know how it affects tax status and how it affects payroll and all the things that go into, switching from nonprofit to for-profit. I took 2 sports law classes in graduate school. I didn't finish, so I don't know what all this means, but I think our game is in a hell of a place now. Like tomorrow, I don't know what games are on, but I promise you there's going to be about 3 or 4 games that are going to take me away from watching USC because I want to watch them play. But now there is a downside to all this that there has to be a solution for us to get this fixed and just have some normalcy. But it's going well for a lot of people, the players especially, that aren't bouncing around, that are able to stay on track to graduate and also value the education they get on a college campus. Because that's more than the degree. I learned much more from being on a college campus for 5 years than I did based on that piece of paper that, we received by finishing the job.
Yeah, I find it funny that you say there's more parity in college basketball than ever before, and it's the guy that's coaching the team that's beating everybody by 45 points. So last thing I got for you. Yaxel Lindenborg is a guy. He's actually from my area. He's from Pennsauken. We did an interview with him probably about I want to say 6 weeks ago now. And like he's just the personality that he has, the character that he has. You said that he doesn't care about scoring. He stayed at UAB an extra year when he had big time offers to leave that program. He stayed with AK because he believes in loyalty to AK. I do believe that he's a guy that has sacrificed for you and for this program to be better. What has he brought to you, not just on the court, but kind of his personality? Like he's a great kid too. I don't think people know enough about him.
He's probably got as big of a heart as any player that I've ever coached. He has a real care for people. And that's probably the thing that's been the coolest thing to being around him and obviously hearing and learning his journey. But we played a game earlier this year and an opposing player went down with a knee injury and Yax was shook up. I mean, he was disturbed because he had so much empathy for that player that got injured in the game. But his unselfishness, we early in the preseason, there's friction like there is at all times. Guys are jockeying for minutes and whatnot. And we made several points as a staff that as a group, we had to appreciate each other even more because there's never been a time whenever you've been able to pull 4 guys out of a portal. There's unselfish and they care about the team as much as our 4 they do. And so we can't get lost in that because what our guys are doing right now is probably the most difficult thing to do in sports, which is to put the team on the same plane as yourself, not above, because look, we don't expect them to put their teammates above them, but we expect all of our players to put their teammates on the exact same plane as themselves, share the sacrifice, share everything that goes with it. And they've done it without batting an eye. And most of it is because of their background and their character. But I think when you really appreciate the people you're around every day and to their core they're about the right stuff, it's a lot easier to fall in line. And our guys know that all their teammates in that circle are about the right stuff and they really, really care about each other. And that's what makes it so much more fun to be around every day and go to work every day.
Number 2, Michigan gets set to start and continue in Big Ten play. They get number 24, USC. Coming to their place on Friday. Coach Dusty May, really appreciate it. Coach, I'm also calling the Cheez-It Bowl coming up on Wednesday, so we'll be looking forward to talking a little bit about your Michigan Wolverines there on the gridiron and also on the basketball court. Congratulations on a great start. Best of luck in the new year, and hopefully your team stays healthy and as well as you go forward. Appreciate the
Awesome.
time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you promoting the game.
Thanks, Dusty.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Look, man, there is a lot. I'll just say this. There's a lot going on at the University of Michigan. As I was doing some prep work for that bowl game, Dusty May is one of the
Don't say, Sam. What do you mean by that? What do you mean there's a lot going on in Michigan right now?
There's a lot going on at Michigan right now, and Dusty May is the captain steering the ship into calmer waters. We're going to step aside, take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to do our in-season draft amongst the three of us, have some fun with that as well, and we'll talk a little bit about Michigan Wolverines probably taken early on in the draft. Stick around for that. That's coming up next.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 On3. Get the scoop.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. Alongside Jerel McNeal, Rob Dauster, I'm Sam Ravech. Okay, guys, I'm really looking forward to this. Shout out to our producer, Dagan, who is currently thinking of a number right now, which we are going to pick coming up for our draft. But here's how this is going to go. We're going to do an in-season draft. There are 4 tiers of 8 teams each. So we're going to draft 2 teams from each tier. Then we'll have our 8 teams by the end of it, and we'll see how this goes come March, because I guarantee there's going to be some teams that are on there that just take complete downfalls, and then there are teams that maybe not even be mentioned that'll be emerging as contenders. But Dagan, how do we want this to go? So you have a number, and each of us will pick, and that'll determine draft order. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I'm thinking of a number, and then you guys can all guess, and closest will be first, and so on down the line. So
what are our parameters here? Are we going 1 to 100?
No, sorry, 1 to 10. I'm sorry, 1 to 10.
All right.
We'll keep it.
All right, Jerel, go first.
Just any number, Sam. Any number.
I was about to say that's kind of open ended, but I'm gonna go 4, Dagan.
I'll go 1.
I'll go 10.
There you go.
All right, well, Jerel got it spot on. It was 4. So Jerel's first, Sam second, Rob third.
All right, and we're going to do this a snake draft too. We'll do it snake draft style. So Rob, you're picking third, then you also pick fourth. But go ahead, Jerel. You pick first from tier 1. We have the list of teams here. It was sent earlier on. There it is right there. List of teams in tier 1. So we're each going to pick 2 teams. Jerel, you start.
I mean, I think it's pretty easy. You know, we just had Coach May on. I got to go Michigan first. First.
So you take.
You know what
Michigan
my biggest
first.
question with them is? Sam, my
Go
biggest
ahead.
question with them at this point, not to cut you off, Jerel. My biggest question is less will they win the national title, or will anybody beat them this year? Like, they just look like such a wagon at this point. I think this is going to be the best chance that we've had to see a team make an undefeated run into the postseason since Kentucky in 2015. Like they are unprecedentedly good. Where they are right now in terms of like the net rating on KenPom is unlike anything that we have ever seen before, right? Duke last year, with how good Duke was, their net rating was 39.29. That was after an NCAA tournament run where you always get bumped up because of the competition you play.
Right.
Michigan right now is 38.8. They would be the third best team in KenPom's ratings as of today. And those ratings always go up much, much more as the season goes on. Where they are is obscenely high.
It's kind of silly what they've been doing. I mean, so they've outscored their opponents by 215 points over the last 9 games. You mentioned it too, Rob. Like they've scored over 100 in 6 of their those 9 games. It's just kind of stupid what they're doing to opponents. It'll be interesting. Look, that USC game is going to be interesting Friday. We'll see how they contend with that team at home. We know they can put up some points. So I'm picking second, and I'll go Arizona. I'll go with Mo Krivas, Tobe Awaka, 2 of the most dominant centers in the country, and they just happen to be on the same team. I think Awaka has kind of cemented himself as maybe the best backup big man in the game right now. Koa Pete went off tonight again as well, albeit against South Dakota State. He made his first 3 of his career. They're the team to beat in a loaded Big 12 this season. So I'll go with the Cats out west.
Yeah, they're going to be awesome, man. In any other year, we would be sitting here talking about Arizona as, oh man, this team like has a chance to do unprecedented things. Like this is a surefire national championship contender. They're kind of on par with what Auburn was last year, according to the metrics. And it looks like they aren't even in the same league as Michigan at times when Michigan is playing. Yeah. Michigan is here's the crazy stat about Michigan. They've scored more than 100 points in 6 of their last 7 games, and they have the best defense in college basketball. Think about that. They scored 100 points in 6 of their last 7 games, and they have the best defense in college basketball. I got 3rd and 4th. But the 3rd pick, I'm gonna take the Iowa State Cyclones. I think that with Tamin Lipsey, with Joshua Jefferson, with Milan Momcilovic, and the way that team defends, they in the same way that it's unique, the way that Houston will attack ball screens and trap the post, and it kind of messes teams up. What Iowa State does with some of their defensive rotations, you don't really see too much in college basketball. I think that's part of the reason why they've been able to maintain this level of success, and they got a couple pros on that roster too.
Rob, Momcilovic is making 55% of his threes right now. He's making 55% of his perimeter shots. He's making 4 a game. It's insane.
That seems good to me. That's about what Jerel shot from the free throw line, so that should be pretty good.
I was bad. I wasn't that bad, Rob. Shit. I think that along with I think Jefferson doesn't get enough credit. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be a legitimate contender for National Player of the Year if he's able to keep this up. And he's
a first-round pick. He's a top 20 pick.
And he's improved so much from last year, and just to be able to see him fill the voice on some of these games too, where Lipsey was out, just can do it all, man. Has good size, matchup nightmare, rebounds at a high rate, can score it. And showing off his passing ability as well a lot more this year, and his playmaking ability. So he's definitely been impressive.
Yeah. For number 2, I'm taking UConn, obviously, with my 2nd pick. I just that ceiling, I do believe, is still somewhat untapped because they are just. I mean, Solo Ball dealt with a wrist injury. Terrace Reed had an ankle injury in the offseason. He had a hamstring injury. Silas Demery's had a calf injury in kind of October. Mullins was dealing with the ankles. They haven't clicked into high yet. I think right now all the other teams in tier 1 should probably be taking over them in this very moment. But I think long-term, big picture, I think UConn is the one that will be able to make a push for that 4th number 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, it's no secret you and I are both UConn fans, but I do think that UConn has maybe the most room between their head and the ceiling of anybody in the country right now. So I'm picking next, and then Jerel will pick the final pick in tier 1. So for my 2nd pick, I'll take Houston. Perpetually underrated and under-discussed. a surprisingly tight game tonight, which didn't make me feel great about this pick. But a lot was made about Houston's youth coming into the season. And, it showed early on the overtime win against Syracuse, the loss to Tennessee. But after the performance that the Cougars put together against a really good Arkansas team last time out, I'm all in. By the way, Kingston Flemings needs to be talked about in the same class as some of these other top freshmen have been this year. 15 points, 5 assists, 4 boards a game for Flemings. He may be a freshman, but he doesn't play like one. So I'm taking Houston with my my second pick in Tier 1.
I think you hit it on the head. You kind of took my pick on that one, Sam. So that I had Houston slotted next up. No, it's fine. And this is why we prepare for these situations.
None of this matters anyway, because Michigan's going to end up going 40-0. So none of this, all this stuff we're just sitting here talking.
They're not going 40-0. They are not going 40-0. I mean, I'll go straight. You go Houston. I'll have to go. I got to go Purdue. All right. And we talk so much about them because we're so familiar with them. They have such a great roster. They got a ton of returning guys. We know all the pieces fit. They had a moment or two, a game or two this year where they haven't particularly looked great. But at the end of the day, I think we're all comfortable in saying that, Fletcher Loyer, Braden Smith, Kaufman Wren, all the other pieces that they've got. This is a team that's going to be there when push comes to shove at the end of the season. So somebody's going to have to try to beat them, and it's not going to be an easy task. So,
all right. So Jerel has Michigan. And you also took Purdue there in Tier 1. So you, Jerel, pick I believe that's right, Dagan, right? Jerel picks first here in Tier. Yep, Jerel, you pick first in Tier 2.
Oh yeah, let's see Tier 2. Well, yeah, it's gonna get tough now. All right, okay. I'm going BYU. I'm going BYU. I mean, I'm looking at I'm taking my chances. Give me AJ DeBonds or Richie Saunders, everything that they got cooking out there right now. So, I got to go BYU.
I will take I'll take Sparty. For a program that prides itself on physicality and dominating the glass, this iteration of Michigan State is one of the best at doing just that Tom Izzo has had. They lead the nation in defensive rebounding percentage. They rank 8th in the country in offensive rebounding percentage and block percentage. They also have a point guard, Jeremy Fears Jr., as we know, who Coach Izzo has likened to Mateen Cleaves, which is not put lightly there. So that in and of itself is enough for me to buy some stock in Michigan State.
My pick from Tier 2 would have been the number 1 pick that I had in Tier 2, and I probably would have taken them over a couple of the teams in Tier 1, and that's the North Carolina Tar Heels. I think that I said this today on the ACC Insider podcast. I think there's a very real chance that we look up in March and we say that North Carolina is the ACC champion, the best team in the conference, and has a very real chance to be the favorite from that group to win a national title. So, look, Caleb Wilson is having a national player of the year kind of a season. I don't think he's going to get it, but in any year where there wasn't a Cam Boozer or an AJ DeBonsa, he'd be in that conversation. I think that him and Henry Visar, as good of a front court as you're going to find, with Seth Trimble coming back, you finally got a backcourt. I am all in on North Carolina. I am buying all the North Carolina stock. Anything that John Henson and Tyler Hansbrough and Justin Jackson have been already scooped up, give it to me. I'm rolling with the Heels so far. So give me them. And then I'm also going to take Arkansas. I've kind of gone down the limb a little bit on Arkansas. I think this is what John Calipari teams tend to be built like. Really talented playmaking guards, big physical 5 men, and then a whole bunch of athletic wings with a bunch of NBA talent sprinkled in there. So I like the Hogs. I like the Razorbacks.
I'll go SEC with you there, Rob, and I'll take Alabama. Again, we're not at the halfway point of the season yet, but LeBaron Filan Jr. has a strong case to be on that midseason All-America team come January. He's really only had one bad game, and it happened to coincide with that Purdue loss, if I remember correctly. But, he put up 20-plus against Arizona, Clemson, Gonzaga, Illinois, and then most recently St. John's. many of those are top 20, if not top 10 defenses. We're going to find out really quick about Alabama here with games against Kentucky and Vandy to open up SEC play in January. But I'll take the Tide. Go ahead, Jerel.
Give me. I'll take Louisville. I got to roll with those guys.
Wow, you went against Illinois. Illinois is right there waiting for you. And you said Trevor, I'm out. You said Brad, I'm out.
Roll with him. I apologize, Trev. But yeah, I mean, I think Mikael Brown and Conway arguably the best backcourt in the country. Like, they got to be in contention for that. They got pieces at other spots with McNeely, Hadley, all those guys. Obviously, they haven't got off to the start that we kind of anticipated. I know we were really, really high on them going into the year, saying it's a national championship contender. They got some things they probably need to figure out a little bit on the defensive end of the ball. But, man, they're going to play fast. They're going to get up and down. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. And they got the roster, they got the talent, and they got the firepower to do it. So I'm comfortable taking Louisville.
Somewhere Mike LaTulip is screaming because we left the Illini on the table there in Tier 2. Go ahead, Jerel. You are picking again here to kick us off in Tier 3. Now, these are teams that you could say had disappointments this year, and there are also some teams that were surprises, like the Vanderbilts and Nebraskas of the world. And then you also have the Kentuckys, St. John's, and Floridas of the world. So go ahead with your first pick here in Tier 3.
We probably should say, Sam, in this game, we're not going to have every single team in college basketball available because I can already see it. We're going to post these graphics. Connor's going to put them together. It's going to look all fancy. We're going to say, look at all these teams that we're picking to win championships. And we're going to get 1,000 mentions that say, you guys didn't take Duke. Yeah, look at the rules of the game, guys. We were not allowed to take Duke, okay?
Apparently it does.
Perfect.
Fair enough.
So that we can show who you guys didn't pick.
Apparently it doesn't matter because Michigan's going 40-0.
That idea.
But I digress. Go ahead,
all this is there's no reason to do all this. Michigan's going undefeated, greatest team of all time.
So we're just wasting our time here, but I'm going Florida #1 out of this batch. On the flip side of the Louisville pick, arguably the best front court in the country. Lee has been better. He seems to be figuring it out. We know what Boogie Flynn is capable of. Florida is going to be an intriguing team, even though I think here in a couple of weeks they'll be closer to Tier 1 to Tier 2. But we got them in Tier 3, and I think it's a steal with the first pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one. Gosh, man. I want to take Kentucky, Rob. I really do. But I don't know that they're going to stay healthy. I can't. I'll go ahead. I'll take Kentucky. I'm just going to assume that Jaden Quaintance is going to be okay. I'm not so sure on Lowe. It feels like a Lamont Butler situation, part 2 with the shoulder. I'll take Kentucky with my first pick, but I'm very hesitant about it.
You guys are foolish, man. You guys are foolish. You're going to leave me with Kansas? You're going to leave me with a top 6 defense in college basketball that in March is going to be getting Darren Peterson back? I'm not reporting facts. I'm just kind of saying, they're going to be getting him back at some point. Hopefully. Look, I think that he will end up playing again at some point. I think that it'll probably be later on in the season. And I think that when he comes back, you're going to be adding one of the best scorers in college basketball to one of the best defenses in college basketball. And if you're going to tell me that I could have Bill Self, a top 10 defense, and Darren Peterson with a bunch of those other guys, I don't even care who else it is. Give me those 3 things. A top 10 defense, Bill Self, Darren Peterson. That's a national championship contender right there in Tier 3. Give me the Jayhawks. Then I got to go again.
All right,
too,
and then and then on your turnaround, who are you taking?
I'll take Virginia. Tista Ritter, Johan Grunlow.
Stolen.
Love my guy.
Yeah, good one.
My guy, Jakari White. He's dunking on people, making 7 threes. He's got the Jakarmi behind him. I'm in on Virginia.
By the way, I said this earlier. I think Virginia and Ryan Odom is one of the best stories not being told in college basketball right now. Just with the fact that he was the ball boy there in Charlottesville and rode his bike to the to the arena there, and now he's the head coach and not only beat them in the NCAA tournament, one of the more historic games ever.
He told us,
go ahead.
He told us in the preseason that when during his formative years as a sports fan, right? From like 3rd grade to 10th grade, those years when sports mean everything to you, he was a Virginia Cavaliers fan. So I don't know if he would still say that he's like a Virginia fan, but when sports mattered to him more than anything else, it was Virginia basketball. And it's pretty cool that he's the head coach there now.
Super awesome. Super cool. Tester Ritter, too, is a really great player, although he had a down December, but he's going to be a problem there in the ACC. I'll take Vanderbilt. I know the not tested moniker has been labeled to the Commodores and Mark Byington, but look, last week you go on the road at Memphis. I know they're down, and at Wake Forest they're a little bit down this year as well, but those are 2 true road environments, sufficient enough for me to say that I think they'll be a contender in the SEC. It took a long time for folks to come around to the fact that Vanderbilt football was actually a player in this conference. And I think similarly, Mark Byington and the Doors are fighting to prove the same thing this year. The offense is legit. I think they're going to win some games. I think they're going to come up. They do. And that's underrated. And yeah. And I don't think a lot of people, Rob, understand that. Like they think of Vanderbilt. They don't really think, they got NIL money to spend, but they look at that endowment. They got money.
Yes, they have. They sneakily have probably a top 15 to 20 most expensive roster in college basketball this year. I don't think you look at it and expect that, but it's paid off, man. They made some really smart investments.
They sure have. 12-0 on the year. Mark Byington certainly amongst the front runners to be coach of the year. Jerel, you're picking one last one in tier 3, and then you're coming around in tier 4.
I got the double pick. All right. Well, last time I mentioned them, Rob laughed at me when we were on air, so I'm going to double down on it, and I'm not going to pass up an opportunity for me to pick at least one Big East school. I'm taking St. John's. Listen, you ain't going to be the only one beating some people up, okay, Sam? Your teams ain't going to be the only one beating people up. We're going to get physical. Damn it, Rick Pitino said point guard position was dead, so we're going to do it without one.
Jerel, you might be able to start at point right now for St. John's.
Yeah, they would love a Jerel McNeal. You imagine?
Listen, I know how Pitino like to press. Hell no. I can't move laterally like that. That's like the first thing to go, Rob. I can't move laterally like you want me to.
I don't know if RJ Lewis's phone is still working, but maybe want to give him a ring. All right, we're going to tier 4. Jerel, you are picking first.
This is when it got really tough. Like thinking through this, like the order. I'm confident. I'm comfortable in this though. I'm going Auburn. I'm going Stephen Pearl. They got Hall. Still got Pettiford. I believe in those guys, and I think they're gonna hit their stride at some point during conference play, and they'll figure it out. And they're gonna be a tough team to beat. So yeah, I'm going. Let's go with the Tigers.
I'll take Mick Cronin and the USC Bruins. Just they're perennially
UCLA
there.
Bruins. Ooh, that was a slip. Yeah,
what did I say?
Yes, I love
UCLA Bruins. Brain fart. I'll go with UCLA. As long as Mick doesn't have to fly cross country and see the Statue of Liberty 5 times this year, I think he'll be good. So,
calling him USC should nullify the pick, in my opinion. No, that's a great one. I think UCLA is good. Once Donovan Dent starts shooting better than 10% from 3, he's literally shooting 10% from 3. Once that comes up, UCLA is going to make a run. I'm in on UCLA. I'll take Villanova. I'm kind of buying what Kevin Willard is selling there. Caden Lewis is a problem. They got a couple good freshmen. They got Duke Brennan, kind of like that Villanova team. And then I am going to take Indiana as well. I don't know why. I just like Lamar Wilkerson. None of these teams matter. I think they're all going to stink. I think all of them are going to be out by the second round of the tournament. So I'll just take Indiana. I like Lamar Wilkerson. That's my guy.
You just drew a big line through our list right there, Rob.
Yeah, there's some trash in there, man.
I think they're all suck. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take NC State then. I'll take Will Wade and them to figure it out somehow with the preseason player of the year on their team. I think they'll figure something out. Maybe be a little bit of a
There's
contender
not
in the
one
ACC.
team in Tier 4 that is staying within 35 points in Michigan.
Yeah, I don't.
Not
I don't
one.
feel great about it, but. All right.
I guess I got to go. I guess.
Yeah, Jerel, you're picking. You got the last pick of the draft here.
That's Indy how we started it. I'm going Baylor.
Very good.
Let's go get some more G League guys. Yeah, let's go get some more G League guys. All is fair in love and war, baby. All is fair in love and war. Let's go get it.
They need about 2 or 3 more if they're gonna have a chance to do that.
Look,
they might need Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler to come back.
I mean, it is complete chaos. By the way, just really quick, we didn't really touch upon the eligibility part of it, Rob. I think what miffed a lot of people was that Nnaji was given 4 years of eligibility. Like it wasn't even a discussion. This was a one and done kind of thing. It's not, like you're starting from scratch. This is 4 years of eligibility right there. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's one. I don't think he's going to be there for 4 years. First and foremost,
but yeah.
But can you get drafted?
Second
twice?
of all, like,
yeah. He might.
That's an after question. I'm sorry, guys. That's an after question.
It's a fair question though to ask, Jerel. I mean, look, it happens in baseball, but
I don't know anymore.
That's usually
I don't know.
You get drafted out of high school in baseball. You go to college and then you get drafted again. Sometimes you can get drafted 3 times, but like you don't usually accept it and then go back. You usually say, no, I'm not going. Nevertheless, that's our draft. Come March, we'll see just how bad some of these turn out, because no question there's going to be some teams outside this list that will emerge, as I'm sure you guys that are watching and listening will make us well aware of come March. But nevertheless, let's Dago, we want to get to the afters here. We'll do our toast in the afters. All right, let's do that. All right, we will step aside and make sure for those who are watching in the YouTube, hit us in the chat with your comments, questions, and concerns. We will get to those in the after. Stick around.
These my DJ Burns things I had for. That was like you're taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die got to be one of the black guys. They're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
All right, well, that was fun doing the draft there. Nice exercise, even though according to Rob Dauster, Michigan's going 40-0 this year, so it will prove to be worthless by the end of March. But nevertheless, welcome to the afters. Again, for those who are on watching us on YouTube right now, first and foremost, happy holidays to everyone out there. Appreciate you spending time with us. Please hit us in the chat there, and our wonderful producer Dagan will hit us with some of your questions. We want to get to our toast first. We want to wait and hit the afters first. All right, we'll do it at the end. All right, so let's. What do we got, Dagan, to start us off in the afters here?
Yeah, while things start to filter in the chat, this is one thing we wanted to talk about during the show, but kind of ran out of time with everything today. Is Zayd Lowry no longer with Marquette? Just kind of you guys' thoughts. Obviously, Jerel, you're our Marquette guy, so just kind of you guys your thoughts on
Jerel, who won the fight? Who won the fight?
All right.
Listen, if I had to bet money, there probably ain't been a fight in the Marquette locker room since the team with like Jimmy and Jay Crowder and Darius Johnson Odom.
Yeah, those guys definitely fought in the locker room. There's no doubt about it. It wasn't just in the locker room. They fought in the practice
floor.
And
the years before, it was just kind of normal. That shit, they had to draw a line through some of that stuff, man. It's too much at stake these days. So I'm sure, number one, no fight. Nothing crazy happened for the most part from everything that I'm hearing. It's just essentially more than anything, it seemed like it was more, I hate to say it, but basketball related than anything. First and foremost, wishing Zayd the best, wherever he ends up landing. Super respectful, nice kid every time I've interacted with him. and also as well super talented. And I think that was one of the kind of the things that threw me off was I would have bet money going into the year from the preseason workouts and all the things that I had heard and seen for myself, being around the team or watching them work out or scrimmage or whatever, that if you were banking on who was going to be the guy that take that next step this year, he was going to be one of the guys on your short list of names. And for sure, I think he showed flashes that he had the talent and the ability to perform at a high level at the, on that stage. But for whatever reason, there was some kind of disconnect, and it just seemed like things came to a standstill. I'm guessing at this point, before he didn't travel to I think it was the Creighton game, where they reported that he didn't travel to the game or whatever, and he was still in Milwaukee. And I'm assuming at some point after that, they were just never able to get back on the same page. But a bit of a non-story. I know some rumors and everything's like that floating, but it's from everything that I've heard, it's got no real meat to it. So again, like I said, just wishing him the best. And obviously it's something they felt like it was necessary to move forward for him and the other guys on the other end as far as the coaching staff and the team for this year. So.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately too, Jerel, like this is kind of the latest in a long line of to call it disappointments this year. I think. Rob, after losing their three, scorers in the offseason and then, not pursuing anybody in the transfer portal, this was maybe foreseen. Like it wasn't inevitable, but it was certainly, you could see it happening the way that the season has gone this year. It was pretty clear this was going to be a tradition. Level. That's what I was going to ask, though. Did you think it would be this much of a struggle this year for Marquette?
No. And I actually, I really, really like Shaka Smart, the human being. And two, I think that the idea of what he wants to accomplish as a coach, I want that to be something that can succeed.
Of course.
I am rooting for this concept of being able to bring players in, develop them over 4 years, forego leaning on the transfer portal for everything, and building a program from within. I want that to be the norm in college basketball. I think you see it a little bit with the program that me and you like, Sam, and UConn. I think that you see it about as well as you could possibly do it at the college level here. You see it with places like Purdue. You see it with places like Michigan State. And those are the places where you consistently have a high level of success and an incredibly high level of fan engagement. And I think those are the two things that matter the most when it comes to the health of college basketball. I want this to work for Shaka. I don't think that this year worked. I think that there were some things that probably happened in the offseason that might have rubbed some people the wrong way. And I think that it was a gamble that he took that is not working out. I don't think that you can do it to the level that you need to be able to do it at Marquette in 2025, 26 without going into the portal at all. I think you need to go there for a couple pieces, plug a couple holes. And I think you can find a way to be able to make it work there. But I don't think that you can't replace Tyler Kolek, Oso Ighodaro, and Cam Jones in the span of 2 years, all from within. You're just not going to be able to make that happen. So to the level that we've seen it, no, I think that this just ended up a lot of things went sideways for him, and it's kind of spiraled. But I want it to work out with the way that he's trying to do it at Marquette. I don't think it's going to – you're going to have to kind of roll with the punches on this one if you're a Marquette fan.
Look, you try to go the Dabo Sweeney route. It hasn't really worked there in Clemson. Both. We can all kind of root for that to be a reality, but there's got to be a balance. By the way, Marquette, as you know, Jerel will host Seton Hall in Milwaukee tomorrow night. Seton Hall is favored in that game, which is surprising. Sorry, Dagan.
You never. If you would have told me in the preseason that Seton Hall was going to go into Milwaukee and be favored in Marquette, I would have asked you to have whatever acid that you're taking to let me get some of it because it seems like a really good time.
Then they get UConn. They get UConn too, Jerel. There's a chance Marquette starts 0-4 in Big East play. You'd have to go back a long time for the last time that happened.
Yeah, and let's again be clear. It's been and it's early still, but it's been a very rough season. And unfortunately, I'm not necessarily optimistic that this thing is going to turn around because it's not getting easier going into conference play. And, essentially, they've lost games early on. Like I think the Georgetown game was big. I still had a little glimmer of hope where it's like, okay, start this thing off, you get on the right side of it. Maybe you figure some things out. Maybe your messages start to hit home a little bit. Maybe somebody starts to play a little bit better. Maybe get a little bit more healthy, whatever it may be. But I think that one was just kind of, that was a shot in the heart because they're not going to have a ton of those opportunities throughout this Big East season. It's not getting a lot easier. So, it's been a rough year. And one of the beautiful things about this and the bad things about it, obviously, because they're catching the short end of the stick and catching a lot of heat right now, is that Rob kind of nailed it. People have been waiting for Shaka to kind of fall on his face the last 2 years, I would say, and he's been on the crap table, and he was fucking hot. He was hot, man. And every time they were waiting on him to crap out, and he kept coming out and hitting his point. So he got to a point this year where he came out and they kind of crapped out a little bit. But at the same time, it's been when you have a basketball school like Marquette, these type of years they get blown way up. It becomes its own living thing. And, at the point that they've reached this season, like this is the type of year where things like this, you see stuff like this happen. Guys start leaving the team, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was more movement after the year. Like, you know what I mean? Like these are the type of years where that, like, you got like, okay, well, maybe I got to reassess or recalibrate. And that's not to say that Shaka is wrong. Cause again, I'm with you, Rob. I think in theory, everything that he wants to do and his ideology on it is great. Am I confident that he's going to be able to pull it off without taking any and not having some kind of balance? Probably not. But, at the end of the day, before he got there in the last 4 years, 4 straight NCAA tournaments, a ton of NBA players. They won a Big East championship. They won the tournament Big East championship. I just don't have a short memory in terms of where he's at with things. So obviously they're catching the heat now.
If anyone's saying he's on the hot seat, like they gotta,
but believe it or not, it's being said, and obviously some people are just prisoners of the moment. But like I said, it's just, for me, it's a little bit asinine and too far when you start talking like that. So in that regard, like I think he's earned to have, to be able to crap out on the crap table on his losing streak over the last couple of years. He's earned that right. So like if he decides to reassess and go a different rate moving forward, great. If not, it'll be on him again, essentially putting his own name and his belief on the line with it. So, but it's wild times right now, man. It hasn't been a great year. It's a lot of toxic energy around the program. So,
hey Sam, you said you don't know if Marquette's ever started 0-4 in the Big East. They got to the Big East in 2005. There's been 1 year where they started 0-3, and that was in 2022, the 21-22 season. I believe that was Shaka's first year. They started 0-3 and then won their next 7 games, made the tournament as a 9 seed that season.
Yep. Right.
That was with Darren Marcel, Justin Lewis, that team. They also went 0-2 one year. It was the second year that Marquette was in the Big East. You know who was the starting 2 guard for the Golden Eagles that season?
Probably
know.
I know who it is. I know who it is for sure. I can't answer my own question though. Yeah.
But after you lost
the first 2, who do we lose to?
Providence and Syracuse. Yeah.
Oh,
then you won 8 in a row. You won 8 in a row and you danced.
Yep. Sounds about right.
All right, Dagan, what do we got? We got another one?
We do. We have one more. User in the chat wants to know, which power conference champion do you feel the most confident about picking? Now, there's obviously an obvious answer here. So UConn is not allowed to be the answer. It can be anyone but the Big East. So any power conference.
I
thought it was going to be Michigan.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Michigan.
But
Michigan. Yeah, easy layup. Next question. Well, how about this? Which power conference team do you feel the least confident picking? That's the more interesting question to me. Because for me, it's the SEC without a doubt.
I was about to say the SEC is up for grabs a little bit.
I don't feel great about the ACC either. Like I don't feel that it's runaway Duke in the ACC this year.
You don't think it's Duke? I was going to ask that too. I think I feel like the ACC is going to be Duke.
See, I think the ACC is going to be North Carolina. That's
Carolina.
Okay. That's my hot take right now. That's my I'm betting on the Tar Heels. And the Big 12 is complicated, but it's like it's going to be Houston or Iowa State and maybe BYU. I'm sorry, Houston, Iowa State, Arizona, and maybe BYU.
Arizona,
yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to go UNC. Like we just Carolina guys now, Rob. So you really don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm not opposed to that.
Saying me picking Carolina.
Yeah, that's why you got to pick Carolina. You got to say what you just said about Carolina, dude.
No, you're right. I actually we have it in the contracts that we have with Henson Hansbrough and Justin Jackson that I have to say nice things about Carolina and bad things about Duke.
Again, there were 13 ranked teams in action. They all won by an average of 28 points tonight. Who are we toasting to? Anyone got one off the top of their heads right now?
All right.
I got one that's a little off the radar, but
go ahead. What do you got?
All right. So Ball State was playing a team that I've never heard of, and their name was Earlham. But nevertheless, the Ball State Cardinals started the game tonight on a 33-0 run. 33-0. That's how they started the game. They won 93-30 for whatever it's worth. But shout out to Ball State in the Mid-American Conference and their 33-0 start to a game today. That'll fire you up.
That's not a bad way to start a game, you know?
No.
It's not a bad way to start a game. So I'll go next. Jerel, my toast is going to go to the Merrimack Warriors and Joe Gallo. They were picked middle of the pack in the MAC this year, and after a win at Sacred Heart tonight, they are now sitting at 3-0 in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference in the MAC, tied with Quinnipiac and St. Peter's for first place in that conference. Merrimack, they were in our event at the start of the year, and they play. The zone that they play is unlike anything that I've ever seen in the sport of college basketball before. It's unique, it's different, and it's fun. And I'm rooting for that team, man. They got a kid named Ty Dorsett who is from Mount Laurel, went to Lenape High School. So got a soft spot in my heart for the Merrimack Warriors.
Yeah, I'll keep mine pretty easy and simple. I'll stay with the Michigan game. My former big fella Marez Johnson, big double tonight. I think he had 24 and 11, and he was 8. More impressive. He was 8 for 9 from the free throw line. I'm really proud of him the way he's shooting free throws this year. He's shooting close to 80%. So Marez gets my toast to the night.
Can I give one more? Because I had one and I forgot.
I
forgot about it until it just hit me. Indiana State and Matthew Graves. Matthew Graves obviously went through, I believe it was a triple bypass that he that he dealt with. He had heart issues and that's scary stuff, man. But the Sycamores tonight knocked off Missouri Valley favorites Belmont in overtime, 81-80 in Terre Haute.
Good one.
Which is hell of a win for him. Hell of a moment for Coach Graves in his first game, or his first win since coming back from heart surgery. Ian Scott was the hero. He made a free throw with 5 seconds left to give Indiana State the win. So shout out to Indiana State, shout out to Coach Graves, and shout out to the Fighting Larry Birds there in Terre Haute.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Close to that.
That's a good one. All right. Well, I think that does it for us. By the way, tomorrow night, ACC play begins in earnest. You got Florida State at North Carolina, Louisville at Cal. Mark Madsen's crew. That's a dangerous one going out there. I think they're 12-1, so that'll be a one to keep an eye on as well. But that'll do it for us tonight, Tuesday, December 30th. For Rob Dauster and Jerel McNeal, I am Sam Ravech. Thank you so much for watching, listening, tuning into Field of 68 After Dark. Make sure that you are subscribed everywhere you get your podcasts.